Welcome back to the channel, Adventures Through Climate Change. I am Trevor, yes, and yes, I'm the only one that does this channel, and I try to do it 3, 4, 5 times a week. And what we do is take an armchair approach to climate change. We watch other people's stuff. I don't know if pirate videos is the best way to term it. It's more like I want to have a culmination of both sides in under one title where we can have discussions and people can yell at me for different things, because usually the people that comment are the ones that completely disagree. Rarely do you get a whole lot of sometimes you get agreement, because some people are looking for affirmation. Of course I am. I want to be I want to be able to say, hey, you know what, I am wrong here, or hey, I still don't know what you're talking about. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So today, and that's what the channel is about. So if I've already earned your subscription, you know what to do. Okay, let's bloopity over here. Today we have Simon Clark. I am not subscribed. I have no idea. And actually, somebody sent this to me. What the hockey stick missed about climate change. I can already tell I'm probably going to agree with something like this. And you guys know what I'm saying. And why are they find single Ukrainian ladies? Are you serious? Gosh, man. Okay, let's get into it.
This is quite possibly the most controversial graph in the history of science. And last month, it got one hell of an update. Thanks to
I'm tired.
Curiosity and Nebula for sponsoring this video. This is the so-called hockey stick, a graph of the past 1,000 years of the Earth's average surface temperature created in 1999 by scientists Raymond Bradley, Malcolm Hughes, and Michael Mann. Now, depending on who you are, you may be very familiar with this figure as either putting recent global warming in shocking context or evidence of one of the most diabolical scams in the history of science. But before getting to that, let's quickly talk about how it was made. Obviously, people weren't taking accurate global average temperature.
I like this video already.
1000 AD.
Simon
So
Clark.
to work out what the temperature was back then, the authors used what's known as proxy measurements. Imagine that you want to know how many monkeys have lived in a particular forest for the past century. You know that there are 1,000 monkeys this year, there were 980 last year, and 1,020 the year before that, but you don't know this number any further into the past. You do, however, know how many mango seeds have been found on the floor for the past 100 years. Scientists are weird and like measuring things, don't question it. The number of mango seeds on the floor will correlate with the number of monkeys. The more monkeys there are, the more mangoes they eat, and the more seeds they drop on the forest floor. So given the last 3 years of data, knowing both the number of monkeys and the number of mango seeds, performing some statistical analysis, you can estimate the number of monkeys present over the past 100 years. We say that the mango seeds act as a proxy measurement for the number of monkeys. Obviously, it's not a perfect proxy because the number of mango seeds found on the forest floor could be affected by other factors, like the weather. If it's windy, then mangoes will be blown off of the trees and onto the forest floor. Or disease, or other animals that eat mangoes. So to improve our estimate of the number of monkeys in the forest, we could incorporate multiple proxies into our calculation. So for example, we could look at the number of mango seeds found on the forest floor every year, but also if there's a town nearby that gets raided by the monkeys, the number of vegetables that are stolen from that town's gardens every year. The 1999 hockey stick effectively did this with temperature in the northern hemisphere, estimating it using 12 proxy measurements spread across the globe. Those proxies were mostly tree ring data. So if you drill into the center of a tree and extract a core, you can see how long the tree has been alive by counting the alternating bands of growth that correspond to the different seasons. But because trees grow more in warmer years, while the number of bands will tell you how long the tree has been alive, the thickness of each year's band will tell you how warm that year was. As in the monkey example, however, doing this isn't a perfect estimate, especially if you're trying to estimate a global temperature from just a handful of proxies. And the authors were very clear in 1999 about this. You can see how large the uncertainty in the estimate is up until about 400 years ago, when additional proxy data became available that just tightened things up. The conclusion of this graph is pretty shocking. The global average temperature was quite consistent up until the Industrial Revolution, at which point humans started emitting lots of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and the temperature shot up. So the graph looks like a hockey stick. It's got this long, straight-ish handle, and then there's a short, sharp upturn at the end, which is like the blade of the hockey stick. and it was interpreted as being pretty conclusive evidence that humans were impacting the global climate and causing it to warm. And the graph became associated in particular with the IPCC's third assessment report. But was that conclusion actually correct? A flurry of papers followed the 1999 hockey stick, claiming that the scientists, and in particular Michael Mann became kind of the center of attention, had bungled the statistics. A particular claim was that based on a different analysis of the same data, the handle of the hockey stick should have been a lot curvier. In particular, there was the so-called medieval warm period when temperatures were higher than at present a few centuries ago, and then in the early modern period, a few centuries after that, there was a cooler time. So observed 20th century warming was actually just kind of a readjustment out of that cooler period, and thus that humans weren't warming the climate anywhere near as much as Mann et al. Claimed. This escalated into a whole thing called ClimateGate, which involved a hack of emails and multiple legal cases and lots of threats being made against climate scientists, and Mann details it all in his book, The Hockey Stick and the Climate Wars, which I may end up doing a video just about this one day. Let me know in the comments if you would like a video just about ClimateGate. But the short version is that in the past 20 years, dozens of independent studies have come out that have pretty much verified...
We be watching about
pretty
ClimateGate.
flat with this uptick at the end. It turns out that the medieval warm period just wasn't as warm as some authors thought, and that it was actually more of a regional phenomenon rather than a global warming. As more proxy data sets have become available from tree rings, but also things like cave deposits and lake sediments and oxygen isotope analysis and corals, and proxy data sets are kind of wild, we've become more confident in the hockey stick and we shrunk the uncertainties. Basically, the conclusion of the original Mann, Bradley and Hughes paper has been validated. However, last month, a new paper came out that did things a little differently and made a big leap in how we can reconstruct past temperatures. Osman et al. Published in Nature created what we call a reanalysis. Normally, when we talk about reanalyses, it's in the context of modern climate data. What they are is this combination of actual observations and statistical modelling to fill in the gaps where we don't have weather stations or we don't have accurate satellite data or balloon data. So it gives us this global continuous data set that's really valuable when you're doing research. What this paper did was construct the first global reanalysis of past surface temperature. It basically plotted out where hundreds of proxy measurements were taken using a 200-year resolution. So we have an indirect measurement of surface temperature at these locations averaged over 200 years. Then the researchers, for the first time, used Bayesian modeling techniques to fill in the gaps between the proxies. So they estimated the spatial distribution of surface temperature. They recreated the map of average surface temperature, if you like, in 200-year chunks, informed by how we see temperatures change between these proxy locations today. This took, you may not be surprised to hear, a lot of work. It took the scientists 7 years to produce this statistical model, drawing on disciplines like hydrology and geochemistry and biology and lots of specialist knowledge into this one, frankly, remarkable statistical model. The result is pretty amazing. The hockey stick now goes back 24,000 years. We can really clearly see the Earth coming out of the last ice age and how since then, for the past 5,000 years or more, the Earth's global temperature has been very consistent. The handle of the hockey stick is longer than before and straighter than before. That puts modern warming in even sharper context, because previous studies that had basically just taken averages of the proxy measurements had found that the Earth had been cooling over the past 10,000 years or so, and thus that at some point in the relatively recent past, the Earth had actually been as warm as today, if not a little warmer. Whereas this, far more sophisticated analysis found the opposite. They found that the Earth had been very slightly warming, and thus that modern human-induced climate change caused by the emission of greenhouse gases was pushing the Earth's climate to a place that it hadn't been for a very long time, at least since before the last ice age. And yes, that's another aspect of this paper. The authors disentangled the likely causes of the observed cooling and warming. Over the 24,000-year time period considered, about 3.5% of the warming is due to changes in the Earth's orbit and ocean circulations, with the rest being due to changes in greenhouse gases and surface reflectivity. As when the Ice Age ended, the Earth became less reflective.
Albedo.
But that's not just human emissions of greenhouse gases. It actually refers to any changes in the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Human on short timescales and natural on much longer timescales. This is an amazing paper. It puts the modern warming that we've seen over the past couple of hundred years into even starker contrast because it shows that it's just unprecedented in the recent record. And further, that by emitting more and more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and pushing the global average temperature up and up, every year we are pushing the world's climate further and further from anything that we as modern humans have ever experienced before. The science has come a long way since the original hockey stick paper, and we understand the mechanism by which this warming is taking place and its historical context better than ever before. We understand it really very well now. So can we please do something about this? Changes in global and regional climates have rewritten human history and quite possibly led to Homo sapiens, rather than Neanderthals, being the dominant species on this planet. This is covered in fascinating detail in How Climate Made History, one of the thousands of documentaries available on CuriosityStream, this video sponsor. CuriosityStream is the #1 source of professional productions on topics from climate to politics, history to samurai swords? Ooh. Think Netflix, but smart. Instead of covering you with crisps and regret, watching it actually makes you better informed about the world. If, however, you prefer something a bit more indie, something with that bit more of a homespun, personal touch, then look no further than Nebula, the Streamy Award-nominated service owned and operated by a bunch of YouTubers like me who wanted independence from, well, YouTube. We don't like ads, so Nebula has none of them in the videos or on its pages. Instead, it's a subscription-based service with your money funding exclusive original content like Technorama about how movies portray technology, as well as directly supporting creators on the platform like me. Also, we are finally now available on your TV via our Roku app. But why have I told you about these two services? Because you can get both of them in a bundle. Signing up at curiositystream.com/Simon Clark, you can get access to CuriosityStream and Nebula and get a 26% discount on both. Just $14.79 a year for the best documentaries on the internet and finance exciting new educational content. That's curiositystream.com/Simon Clark to improve your viewing experience online and support this channel. Thank you very much for watching this video. This was an installment of my series going through recent papers in atmospheric science and kind of translating them for a popular audience. And I love making these videos, so I really hope that you liked it. If you did, please do pop it a like. If you do want to check out some previous episodes in this series, then here are some over here. You can also check out CuriosityStream.
Oh man, these are clickbait. I know they are because I want to click on them. Okay, what do I think of that? I do think we're in a complete warming. We're in interglacial for sure. I think it's almost time that we go back to greenhouse gases and we take a look at a video from that. It's been a few weeks. But I don't know. Like, I get the impression that some of these papers are skewed in one way or another. Both sides, both ways. Everybody just propagates data. I mean, who was it? Was it Carl Sagan? I can't remember who. It might have been Carl Sagan that said 80% of science is propaganda. Meaning that, scientists, they work so hard to get grants. They work so hard to get whatever they can. And they desperately want their science to show what they're getting paid to do. And so you end up do confirmation bias and doing experiments that confirm your biases. That's why I want to watch both things. I want my mind to be changed. Somebody change my mind on something, I just don't think that I don't think it's quite the hockey stick that it is. And I do think, watching most or a lot of videos and stuff, it did seem like it was starting to cool down for a bit. But we've had multiple small ice ages throughout the years. The the 1500s, you know, they had a 3 years in a row, kind of a small ice age where it just got, there was a blip and it killed, you know, in Europe, it destroyed all of the crops and everything, the frost did and whatnot, and snow. And I mean, there was a ton of people that starved. So anyways, I don't know. Okay, we'll watch more on it. Tell me what you think. If maybe I've earned your subscription. If not, at least give Mr. Simon Clark, Mr. Simon Clark a subscription. He's at 471K. Get it, dude. Get it. And you know what? I hope to catch you on the next video.